really be difficult when you pivot because there will be discomfort, right? But regardless, how important is it for businesses to manage that change?
It's key because either they manage the change or they die. It's as simple as that. And it's not pleasant, but that's the truth. So if you don't adapt, you won't exist anymore. So what do you want to do? What do you want to do with your business? What do you want to do with the offer, with the ideas that you've got in your mind? What is that value to the world that you want to give? So you better manage that change as a business, but also as an individual. Personal change is a real thing as well. And that's the short answer. The long answer is that there are techniques available. There are ways and approaches that you can bring that change in the organization. And that's the sort of thing that we teach. So if there is a need for that, we're here to help.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that you call, instead of customers and clients, you call them audience, right? So that's like one big change also for businesses. But do you think the way of managing businesses will really evolve?
Yes, they're going to evolve because we're so used to, we've had for so many years a hierarchic structure of organizations. And that is, to me, a thing of the past. And organizations will modify their structure from having a top leading to directors, then managers, then sub-managers, then workers. It's going to change completely, and it's going to be more and more flat, where you've got one leader leading a idea based on that vision, and then people will manage themselves, their own organizations, and become leaders themselves of their part of the part that they play in the organization. And we're going to see that organizations will be more and more flat. You see already that, now through the situation that we are going through, people are getting used to working from home. And I think that's a very good thing, because people can work remotely very well. I mean, we're a good example. You work not close to me, you're very distant from me, but we work very closely with each other, and we manage really well to work together. And many companies are going to do the same. They're going to do the same because it works better than expected. But the problem is that managers, not leaders, managers need to relinquish control. And that's the problem. Managers want to keep control over things. And leaders will understand that it brings a new way into develop new ideas. And that's not saying that we don't need to ever meet physically. We do need some moments where we do meet together so that we've got that bond between people, which is difficult to get through a Zoom call, for instance, or any other virtual tool that we've got. Or I like to call them remote tools, because they're not virtual, they're very real. We'll talk about the metaverse another day, maybe, and that's virtual, but that's also another reality which is being created in a different kind of world, So, but that's another subject. But it's a fascinating subject with tons of projects that can be created there as well, believe me.
Yeah, but speaking of project managers being in control with the changes, not just in the business, but with our situation right now. So when we say project management, what comes to people's minds is that there are really a lot of project management methods. But how really important are those methods when running a project?
Well, methods as such are very useful. They help organizations have a common language. They help organizations to understand a path that we follow, an approach, a set of processes and procedures. But and there's so many variations. There's so many flavors of project management methods that you need to identify which suits best your own project. So depending if you've got a simple project, or if you've got a more complex project, or if you've got a very complicated project, you're going to use different types of methods. And that's based on the idea, which is called Cynefin. It's right Cynefin, but it's said Cynefin, which is a Welsh word. And it basically helps people to understand that approach, that way of thinking. Helps you to understand in which kind of approach you need to be: simple, complex, or complicated, and it all depends on the way that the solution can be found. Is it a simple solution? You can use traditional approaches. If you're not quite sure of what the solution is going to be, when it's less predictable to know what the approach is going to be, you might want to go to a more agile approach. And agile is an adjective. It's not a word. It's not a noun. It's an adjective. You are agile. You do not do agile. You are agile. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of approaching. It's a behavior, if you want, that you have within your project. And the agile approaches help you be very flexible with the solutions that you are trying to bring to the problem that you want to solve. So that's a very broad way of explaining this. But we can go much more in depth if that's something that people want at some point. We can do a special session on this because it's key.
Yeah. And you mentioned that project management can be complicated with the methods, that it depends really on what type of business and what kind of project that you are dealing with. But with our audience that are just starters who have no idea what project management is, what kind of method should they adapt to their business, what do you think people should adapt for their first project as starters?
The first thing is to ask yourself a good, solid series of questions. And I've made a little ebook which is available, which is called Project Launch. It's the Project Launch Guide. And it really is, 5 key aspects that you want to consider when you are launching a new project. And I'll just give out the first one out of the 5. It's your why. Why are you doing this project in the first place? Why is the project needed? But we go much more in depth, and actually there's now also available a little explanation of that ebook that people can get if they want to. But just ask yourself, why do we need this project in the first place? And the sub question is, what would happen if we did not do the project? What would be the consequences of not doing the project? Because if there are no consequences, why are we doing the project in the first place? So that's a first key question. But you should really go much, much deeper into that why, because it also goes to understanding why you as an individual, why are you doing projects in the first place?
Thank you for that very clarified answer with regards to our audiences that are just starting with their businesses and projects. But lastly, what would be your advice to the young entrepreneurs who are afraid to take the risk to start a project now because they don't have the tools? What would be your advice to them?
Get started. Don't be afraid. Just get on with it. Try things. Ask for help. we're here to help if you need to. You know, we've got forums, we've got platforms, we've got weekly calls, we've got everything that you've got available or that you need. Just ask for help if you need to, but don't hesitate. Try things out, new things, attempt new things. If it doesn't work, change until you find something that works for you and your team. But start. That's the best key, the best thing that I can tell you. Just get on with it. Stop thinking about it and get on with it. And you'll see that that will lead to your first success. I can guarantee it. I can also guarantee that if you don't, you'll never be successful. So it's your choice.